Hello, everyone. Welcome to A Fistful of Dice. My name is Matt, and you're watching Session 2 of Scrappers, our Mecha Hack mini-campaign. This session is entitled Broken Moon. Let's recap the first session really quick and then jump right into the action. So last time on Scrappers, 4 salvagers serving aboard a cruiser called the Gyre were woken up, dragged out of their bunks, and taken into the ready room, and found out that the largest dreadnought ever built, a Neo-Dominion craft called the Eclipse, was destroyed, and its wreckage was sort of spread across the known orbits. They were given orders to salvage a particularly valuable piece of salvage, 2 CK-90 cruiser killer cannons, these gigantic guns designed specifically to knock space cruisers out of the sky. So they jumped and left aboard their small freighter called the Condor and landed on this piece of wreckage that was hurtling through space. They boarded this piece of wreckage and cut their way through the hull and found some strange things inside, namely the corpses of crew members and downed mechs that were scored with these like molten sort of bullet holes. Looks like beam weaponry had downed them. They continued through the wreckage and did battle with some surviving Neo-Dominion mechs who made use of cover and some malfunctioning particle barriers to try and slow the salvagers down. But they bested the Neo mechs and continued through to a hangar where they found a strange alien-looking mech that was sort of like white, high-tech, but almost organic looking inside. And they decided to salvage this alien mech, sending their scout, Viper Midnight, out with the wreckage towards the freighter, while the 3 other mechs continued on to try and salvage the guns. Of course, the alien mech was still alive and woke up as soon as Viper Midnight got it out of the wreckage, and a fierce battle commenced wherein Galvin Widower, Kraken Omega, and Crimson Mammoth all tried to desperately dismantle the guns while Viper Midnight held off this gigantic alien mech pretty much solo for like 3 or 4 rounds, which was very impressive. Eventually, they all reconvened after Crimson Mammoth got his arm sliced off by a beam blade, and they managed to salvage the wreckage of the alien mech, the 2 CK-90 cruiser killer cannons, and a bunch of other cool stuff that they found inside the wreckage. The day seemed won, but as they were journeying back towards the Gyre, their home vessel, a gigantic alien cruiser sort of slipped out of this jump gate and proceeded to basically hack the Gyre in half using beam weapons. Not knowing what else to do, they used their Twitch Fulcrum drive to escape, and that is where we left off last time. You've had little time to rest, and the rest that you've had has been anything but restful. Strange dreams plague your sleep. Viper Midnight especially, you have these images as you sleep of this blue face, the same one that you saw on your HUD as you battled that strange alien mech, as you desperately fought to save yourself and your comrades. You hear that voice. The being that called itself the Hierophant spoke of something called the One Mind. You're still sorting through the events of the last day. It seems like weeks have gone past since you woke up in your bunks and were dragged into the ready room, but it's only been a few hours. The jump that you made using the Twitch drive aboard the Condor did its job, got you out of harm's way, and you found yourself thousands, hundreds of thousands of kilometers away from the wreckage of the Eclipse and the wreckage of the Gyre. It seems strange to think that everyone aboard that ship is likely dead now. You wonder what happened to the other 2 crews sent to salvage other pieces of the Eclipse. You wonder if you'll ever find out. The Condor, it's not meant to be a long-range vessel. Your comms, they'll reach a few thousand kilometers, but not much beyond that. You know you have limited fuel. And you know that you can't jump again for a few more hours while the drive recharges. It's been 2 hours since you jumped. Galvin Widower, where are you aboard the Condor and what are you doing?
You see Galvin Widower, Captain Teddy at this point, out of armor. He has probably been on the deck of not the deck, what's the word I'm looking
bridge?
For? There you go. I've been on the bridge pretty much the whole time, either discussing with Clank probabilities of the extents of our ship, how long we can potentially make it, given various strategies that we've talked about. Where could we twitch to next if we manage to recharge? Where can we potentially make some money off these cannons? Options at this point. Is there anybody else that would have been on the bridge with me?
Yeah, Kat would totally be there. She'd be sitting at what's called the helm or whatever, trying to figure out not only where exactly we twitch to, but where potentially we could go with the fuel we have and the best place. So she'd be there sitting at the system, just probably swearing a lot as she's trying to find out exactly, like, as she's checking everything, she's realizing that kind of the dire situation that they're in, that they're pretty much in the kind of middle of nowhere in this ship that's not meant to be out here.
Yeah, the Condor it really relies on the gyre for most sort of heavy-duty, long-range things. And being out here, you really feel like the lack of long-range sensors, the lack of long-range comms, the limited fuel. Everything that is sort of not useful to short-range salvaging has been removed from the Condor in order to make room for more salvage. And that's never been an issue until today. So, Widower, you're sort of speaking with Clank. He's going over the diagnostics. The Condor made it out relatively unscathed. He managed to avoid most of the damage that the alien mech was trying to dish out. Your mechs, however, are pretty damaged, and Clank is sort of heading up the repairs of that, likely alongside Crack and Omega. Where are you, and what are you doing here 2 hours after that jump, Omega?
He'd be down in the mech bay making the necessary repairs so that everything is like functional for the next time that we have to drop. And also because that's like the best way he has to distract himself from the impending doom is to throw himself into work. And so that's what he'd be doing. He'd be like looking up in despair at the missing arm from Crimson Mammoth and like what he's going to do with that situation. And yeah, like installing mods and fixing up everything that he can fix up.
Yeah, and you're not used to, well, or rather you haven't in a long time outfitted mechs for war, but all of a sudden you find yourself thrust into the position of having to, bolt weapons to these things other than welding beams, making room where there used to be containers for hauling salvage. Now you're attaching mods designed for combat. And as you're working, Clank's sort of following you around, taking orders from you. You keep catching sight of that alien mech or what remains of it. It's essentially hewn in half by Viper Midnight, and you see it hanging there from these chains, just kind of drifting kind of back and forth in the low grav of the ship. And you can swear sometimes that you see its eyes sort of gleaming, but then you look and it's dark. It's just a trick of the light, the flickering fluorescence up above in the mech bay. It's an eerie, strange-looking mech, unlike anything you've ever seen, and yet it's fascinating at the same time.
Yeah, he would be like pulling out books that he hasn't looked at in 15 years for like reference on what this thing might be. That kind of thing. He would just be like trying to figure out what the hell it is and like referring to other, like, if it's anything even, of like other alien tech, anything like that.
Yeah.
Or like precursor tech or anything that, you know, is close to this thing. And he'd also be like very conscious of the fact that like it looked off before and it looks off now, but now he doesn't know if it's really done.
Right.
He doesn't like approach it too brazenly, but also is like trying to figure out how to make sure that it doesn't turn back on.
Definitely. So what I want, Widower, you're kind of looking for where you can make some money, where you can refuel, right? Where you can offload these cannons and actually have a payday. So what I'd like from you is actually a presence check as you sort of comb the HoloNet and try to make contact with your contacts in this area. Viper Midnight, you're trying to sort of triangulate where you guys are and find your location in regards to other things, other landmarks that you know of. So go ahead and give me a system test as you try to do that. And then Omega, as you sort of run diagnostics on this alien mech, run scans on it, flipping through old manuals and schematics, go ahead and give me a system test as well.
I got success.
Okay.
I also got a success.
Cool. And
As did I, yeah.
okay, awesome. So we'll go ahead and start with Kraken Omega here. So over the course of sort of the hours that you guys are coasting through space, and you run these scans on the alien mech, you find something very strange. Though it is completely alien in appearance and the look of the innards of this thing, it almost appears organic. It is very similar to the old reactor tech that humanity found when they first arrived here in Lodestar Alpha to colonize this place. When they found those ancient buried reactors, it led them to building mechs that helped them develop this place. The reactor that hums inside this alien mech is almost identical to those. Not quite, but you almost think that with some tinkering, this strange semi-organic mech could be compatible, at least in power, with your mechs. Viper Midnight, you spend some time sort of triangulating your position. You have to sort of like use the stars and other celestial bodies to try to figure out where you are. And you actually find out that you are very close to a rebel base known as Slipstar. You tend to steer clear of this area of space because this rebel group calling themselves the Terran Collective sort of lays claim to it, and for the most part, you try not to tangle with them. They sort of going up head-to-head against the Neo-Dominion, and they're losing pretty badly. But they are also sort of desperate and tend to do a lot of raiding and salvaging of their own. So you try to steer clear of their territory. However, Widower, you spend some time on the HoloNet. You find a lot of information. You comb through various news broadcasts and you find out that Neo worlds are sort of dropping contact by the dozens. Planets are falling off of the HoloNet one by one. You find footage of other destroyed cruisers and dreadnoughts, massive ships appearing in orbit. You find like shaky sort of like almost like cell phone footage of someone like looking up at the sky and this massive alien cruiser sort of appearing in the atmosphere and like hundreds of mechs just like dropping out of it. It's an invasion, a full-scale invasion. The destruction of the Eclipse and the destruction of the Gyre were not isolated incidents. But you do make contact with somebody. A woman appears on the HoloNet in front of you. She has dark skin sort of lined with scars, and she's wearing a grease-stained jumpsuit. This woman's name is Thea Node, and she is the leader of the Terran Collective. Galvin Widower, I imagine that you actually know her from something in the past. What would you have known Thea Node from?
The Terran Collective itself, I don't believe, is the original name. There was a few covert groups that kind of gave birth to this collective project, and I think back in the day, I may have been a hand in one of these groups, directly connected with Thea. I think our relationship was probably strictly professional in that sense. We had an objective, and she never lost the faith in what we were doing, and well, credits make the galaxy go round.
You see this face familiar to you, yet changed by time and war. There are more lines on her face, more wrinkles, more scars. And she reaches up, and you see that her right arm is mechanical now, and she lifts a pair of welding goggles up over her head as she wipes her one remaining real hand with a dirty rag. And she says, "Teddy, I wish I could say good to see you, but, well, I was never very good at lying."
No, or keeping your hands out of stuff that you shouldn't have been.
What brings you to my side of the galaxy?
Well, you been watching the news at all?
Yeah, we're a bit busy over here.
Yeah, we haven't been idle for very long either. We got a haul, and we're looking to loosen it from our grasp, if you know what I mean.
Well, that depends entirely on the haul.
Well, how interested is the Terran Collective in destroying cruisers that appear in the sky?
You hauling CK90s?
I'm sure that the diagnostics you'll be receiving from whatever scouts you have around us right now would likely confirm, so I'm going to go ahead and skip the bullshit. Yeah, we do.
I also know that you most recently were serving aboard the Gyre, and I also know that about 2 hours ago the Gyre dropped off the map.
So you'd have reason to believe that I'm looking to parlay.
Something like that. She kind of looks off screen and speaks in a hushed tone to somebody else and then looks back to you. We'd be very interested in your haul. How many CK90s do you have?
I managed to take the two that were aboard the Neo Dreadnought Eclipse.
You went after the Eclipse. That was stupid.
Well, being smart doesn't make you any credits, does it?
That's fair. Well, listen, if you can make it to Slipstar, I'll take both CK90s off your hands for 10K apiece.
We're not really in much of a position to bargain here. Perhaps we could come to terms in person.
I always did prefer negotiating face-to-face.
Loses all the subtle intricacies over these holovids.
That's right. Well, Transponder says you're a few hours out, maybe one Twitch jump. Can you make it?
I would also kind of go over to the side in a hushed tone. Omega, how's the twitch look?
He probably like hears that and then like looks up to the sky like, what am I, a miracle worker? Like I'm a mechanic. And he'd give like a very conservative estimate. Not great.
It may be some time, Thea, but we could probably make it there within the next galactic day.
Hey, if it's for that kind of money, we can do it quicker.
You get here, keep the CK90s in one piece. We'll pay you well. And there might be more work in it for you since you find yourselves currently unemployed.
My two favorite things to hear.
Right. Well, I've got a lot of work to do here. Whoever these invaders are, they're kind of winning the war for us, but I don't imagine we're on the same side. So I'm going to let you go, and I hope to see you alive and in one piece in the next day.
Likewise.
Take care, Teddy. And she sort of fizzles out.
Can we get like some sort of scan to see if they've I mean, I kind of was just throwing that out there that they had scouted us, but I want to see if they're like kind of like an insight check, if you will. We were pleasant on the phone, but are they doing any like maneuvers or positioning or setup that we can detect short range?
Yeah, if you want to give me a system test, you can kind of do like a sort of broad scan to see if there's any sort of even the barest little signature around.
Right. Oh dear. No, we're good. 14/16 success.
So you don't detect anything, and just based on what you know of Thea and her methods, you know that she has a very wide information network, and if there was any sort of scouts or outposts or anything in the area that you were in before you jumped, that could explain why she knows that the Geyer is gone, and she likely was keeping a very close eye on the wreckage of the Eclipse, just because it was so valuable and so sort of unforeseen.
Fair. All right, Kraken, I think perhaps we should rely more on your conservative estimate and see if we can get the suits a little bit more up to par. I'm going to go into the med bay and speak with Mammoth.
Roger.
And that's a perfect segue into these the med bay, as you said, little more than a closet with a cot inside of it. And Mammoth, you're laying there, bandaged up. One of your legs is set with this sort of mechanical splint to keep it from moving too much as your bones heal. How are you feeling? What are you thinking as you're laying there? Probably on painkillers, recovering from your experience going toe-to-toe with that alien mech.
Normally, Crimson Mammoth would be all smiles and laughs, trying to cheer up the crew, make light of the dire situation that they found themselves in, but they just don't have the energy right now. Laying there broken, mech broken, it's all very symbolic. The Geyer was ripped, and with it, her partner. And there's just no words for all the holes that they feel. They're physical and emotional. And if it weren't for these drugs, I don't know what kind of shape Crimson Mammoth would be in at all.
Your commander enters, sliding open this small door leading into the med bay.
And I'll just turn over, not even making eye contact.
Well, your vital says you're awake. You gonna roll over and talk?
God, I wish I weren't awake.
Likewise. Fortunately, we aren't all that lucky.
We fucked up big, huh, Commander?
We played the hand we were dealt. We did the best we could with the things at our disposal, I guess.
But at what cost?
Well, perhaps not an unpayable cost. We've made contact with a rebel base on Slipstar. They're willing to pay us for the load we managed to abscond with. Perhaps with that, a means of getting the fuck away from whatever's going on here.
Yeah. Get away. That sounds nice. Are you sure you can even use me on this crew anymore? I mean, look at me. Look at my mech.
As far as I can tell, you can still move both your arms, right? Even with a splint leg, you can press a pedal, right?
I'll kind of like wiggle my arms until I just. Yeah, I guess I can still use them.
Shit, I'm sure we could rig you up and pilot on spirit alone. Sass, maybe.
You keep these painkillers coming. Guess I can deal with it.
You're gonna have to. Because though we may have found refuge on Slipstar, don't know if we can trust him. At least not yet.
Sure, we can't trust anyone else anymore.
Life for us, right? If you can stand, might be worth going to see Omega. Here he had some good news.
Is that an order, Commander?
Yep.
All right. I'll push the button to pump my IV full of one more dose and stand up, rip out the needles, walk over.
So Mammoth limps into the mech bay where Omega is working with Clank.
Well, sorry to make such a mess of things, Omega. You think you can repair it?
Do I think I can repair it? Yeah. Yeah, I can make it work. I guess. Question is if it's worth it. If you're worth all this hassle, and he'll like go over and like poke one of the sore parts.
Oof. Ah. Oof. Come on. Of course I'm worth it. Who else would make you smile?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he like looks to like the ruined mech and like the thousands and thousands and thousands of credits worth of damage, and then back to you and the stupid jokes that happen every 20 seconds. And he thinks like, yeah, all right.
Well, I definitely appreciate it, Omega. Here, let me see if I can make it worth your while. I'll like limp over and hang my hand into the cockpit of my mech, press eject, and give you a nice tape of a mix of the oldies. Got this one from my pops. Always put a smile on my face.
He'll like take it as if it's a cigar and like, all right. He'll like put it into like a shirt pocket, and then like look back at the mech and see, or like look at it more seriously in an attempt to fix it. We don't have an arm to put on this thing, but like look at the alien mech with this sort of like raised eyebrow.
I don't know about that. Don't want it turning on me.
It's just an arm, right? All the bad juju is going to be in the head.
All right. Let's see what happens. What's the worst that can happen? Our ship get torn apart?
Yeah, he like laughs, but it's really not like a laugh of comedy. It's one of like grim resignation. Like that seems likely.
So if you're gonna try and attach this arm, Omega, I will need a system test as you try to do that. Even with the assistance of Clank and whoever else you pull in, it's unlike anything you've done before.
Okay. Yeah. So he'll try to do that. He'll look at it and he'll like look at those references that he was looking at of like previous. I can't remember what you call them. I'm always use the word precursor, but like reactor tech.
Yeah,
right?
that's essentially what they are. Yeah, as precursors. Yeah. It's some sort of alien civilization that lived here before, and that's how you guys figured out how to build mechs.
Right. I'm thinking of like mass relays and stuff from
Totally.
Mass Effect. That kind of feel.
Yep.
So he would have like some like from when he was in college, way back when. He'd have like some of those old dusty books. He'd be like looking through them, like, okay, well, this kind of looks like this thing over here. And if you, so he'll work on that for a while. He rolled a 2, so that's very good news.
Yeah.
So I guess like maybe there's a schematic in there that's like relatively similar, or there's like a few parts that are similar enough that he can like figure out the similarities and like safely separate the arm from the mech.
Yeah, so you're gonna have like an Iron Man like building montage where you're like and there's like and you're like, you know, pulling off parts on a winch and stuff. So go ahead and describe whatever that looks like as you do this unorthodox repair.
Yeah, there's definitely like a lot of moments where he's got like a welding sort of mask on, and the camera zooms in, there's like tons of smoke or whatever, and then like zooms out, it's not from the thing he's doing, it's from like the cigar in behind the mask, and he'll like flip that up and it's all like blackened and terrible, and he's like more than once he'll like mess with something and there'll be like and he'll like look at Clank and be like, get down, but then like nothing thankfully happens. There's a lot of like trial and error until eventually he's able to like loosen enough parts over many hours, I imagine, and many a CCR song blasting loudly. As he's like working on it until eventually he's able to like separate the arm and like load it down onto the ground. And at that, like he's always, even while it's like sort of comical and there's like a good mood in he still occasionally will like look at the face of this thing and like get the impression that it's like watching him and aware more than once. And he'll be like in the middle of something or like singing along and he'll hear this like voice in his head and he'll like stop for a second and sort of slowly turn to look and see that nothing is happening and then get back to work.
And as you finish this process and as Fortunate Son sort of fades out, the camera pans out and we see Crimson Mammoth with sort of bolted together, quickly welded repairs, and then this strange white sort of slim, almost tentacle-like arm sort of on one side. Clank is looking it over. Well, it's not pretty, but looks like it might work.
Of course it'll work.
Singa will come rushing in, basically like a kid at Christmas time, and look at the fixed mech, look back at you, look at the fixed mech, look at the alien, look back at you. You're a miracle worker! And she'll leap up on you and give you a nice wet one.
Yeah, he's not good with people, He's good with machines, and so he like doesn't really know how to interact with this situation. So he's like nodding and would like do like a sort of awkward like pat on the back at the reception of the hug. And then like when he thinks this interaction is done, he'll be like, "This is acceptable," and then like sort of move away from it.
Well, Clank, sort of miming, like wiping his hands off with a rag, even though he has these metal fingers. Go ahead and climb in, give it a shot. Make sure it's calibrated, right?
I hope my parents are paying for insurance, and I'll climb in and try to fire it up.
It does the like Millennium Falcon, like and then starts up. You feel the telltale hum of the reactor beneath your seat, that comforting warmth that kind of emanates up through. And the right arm feels like it always did. The left arm, you can move it, you can feel it. There's just something weird about it, but you imagine that you'll get used to it. And as you're working with this and rotating all the different axes of the arms, like bending it at the elbows, you manage to get it to the like tentacle-esque appendages sort of spiral together, and there's almost this cannon at the end of the arm, and it goes sort of hums to life with this blue light, and it's Clank's turn to go, "Get the hell down!" And he like pushes you down to the deck plating, Omega, as this cannon hums to life.
Uh-oh. What have I done? I'll try to, like, make sure that the cannon doesn't go off in our ship.
You sort of repeat the process that you did, and the appendages separate again. So this is effectively a chest beam mod, but it's on your arm.
Chee-hoo! I don't know if it's the drugs talking or what, but this seems to be your best work yet. Thanks, Kraken.
You got it. Maybe just be careful about firing that cannon while you're in here. We don't know what it does yet.
As
in fact, be careful about firing it at all, he'll say.
As this is happening in the mech bay, on the bridge of the ship, Kat, you're sort of piloting, just mostly sort of just sitting there making sure you don't run into anything as the ship just coasts forward. But there's an indicator on the HUD. Beep, 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 beep. And your sensors pick up a very slight reactor signature a few hundred clicks away.
Can I tell if it's like one of our reactor signatures, or is it?
If you run a quick diagnostic, it matches the sort of reactor signature of most human vessels. It doesn't have the strange readings that the alien is putting off. So it definitely seems like it's human, at least.
So I go on the comm like, hey boss, we got company.
Go on, company.
Well, it's human. That's a good thing. So it's probably
up until today, I didn't think we'd ever have to say that.
It might be your friend. What was her name? Theo? You should come up here in case they hail us. And while he's on his way, I'm going to scan it to see if I can better figure out what type of ship it is.
Yeah, give me a system test.
That would be a 9, so that's a success.
It appears to be a similar size reactor to the Condor, actually, and so you imagine that it's something bigger than a mech, but smaller than a cruiser, likely a small freighter. However, the power signature of it is faint, dwindling, almost like a pulse that is just barely there. Whatever ship it is, it's likely not in good shape.
Teddy. I don't know who that is, but they don't look very good. I think, I don't want to say, get too greedy and stuff, but maybe there might be another opportunity right there.
What are the chances that that might be a cruiser from one of the salvage crews?
It's not big enough.
We can't afford it. But who are we to miss up on an opportunity? Perhaps
Clank.
we'll go a little bit. Go ahead.
Clank sort of speaks up. We're burning fuel like crazy trying to get to Slipstar, too. Even if we can take some off the top of the tank, that'd be worth it.
I think if this cat would reach over and kind of give Clank what you can kind of consider a back pat. That's why we keep you, Clank. Always with the good ideas.
Hey, you told me to watch the fuel gauge, so that's what I'm watching, the fuel gauge.
You keep doing that.
Okay. And he just sits there and looks at the fuel gauge.
Cat, you gonna be able to go again?
This, she's a little bit quiet. Not something you're used to her being. So she's usually gung-ho, probably the first to get suited up and all that. And she hesitates for kind of like an awkward amount of time. And then she'll look up at you and say, "Yeah, boss, I got this. I'm ready to go."
Good to hear. Hitting the comms over to Kraken and Mammoth. How you guys feeling down there? Ready for something to do?
Kraken has this list of 758 things he still has to do to the mechs before they're operational to the extent that he would want. But they're literally operational enough to work. And so he says, "Good to go, Captain."
Good. Quit sitting around. Rouse yourselves. We have what seems to be a dying ship that has the precious resource of fuel we are ever in need of. So we're going to see what we can find out, see if it's worth intercepting. Top her off. We in a position to do that?
Let me shoot this big freaking gun, Commander.
Isn't that the thing that we don't know what it does yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, we pointed at the bad guys. It should be okay.
Yeah. Just remember, we don't know what it does yet.
Only one way to find out.
Very well.
So it's not too long before you can actually visually see this freighter out of the viewport on the bridge. It's slightly larger than the Condor, but not by much. And as you get close, you can see that it's sort of lazily drifting. Its engines are dark, and you can see score marks on the outside of the hull. It appears dark and cold and derelict. It looks like it hasn't been used in some time.
Clank, is there any way we can get some sort of gauge on this thing's tank? Punctured at all?
He clicks a few buttons, and there's a little zoom in on the HUD. Beep, 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 and a little sort of arrow points. Hull looks intact. That looks like a fuel tank right there. No punctures. And from what I can see, it's not leaking anything. Looks like the tank's full.
All right.
Can we scan it for life?
You certainly can. Give me a system test.
That is a success.
You do detect some faint heat signatures inside that could be people.
I'm reading a few heat signatures, sir.
Shit, there might be people in there.
Are we talking like less than a dozen, like a hand?
Yeah,
handful?
just if it's hard to like parse them out, but you just based on the amount of heat, it's like maybe 3 or 4 heat signatures.
And would that be about the same amount, like a regular amount of people that would be on that size of ship?
Yeah, that's that size of ship. You can't fit much more than that.
Can we determine who it is?
It doesn't bear any markings on it, but it's definitely not Neo. At least it looks like a pretty like piece of shit sort of junker ship.
Who knows? As long as it's not the Dominion, they may even be happy to see us.
Looks like it can be maybe another salvaging crew.
It's not a ship I've seen before. Looks like it's been out here for a long time, though.
All right, let's see if we can sync up with some attached grapplers.
You got it. And Clank kind of looks at you, Kat, to sort of bring her in. It's not drifting with any sort of speed, so you're very easily able to get alongside of it. Clank sort of... All right, grapplers out in 3, 2... All right, we're hooked up.
All right. I'm sure you guys know the routine. Attach the link, drain some fuel.
Kat looks at Clank. Clank, ship's all yours for a little bit. Take good care of her.
You got
Be
it.
back.
And he crab walks over to the helm and sort of lowers himself down.
Yeah, and Kat would disappear back into the mech bay where the mechs are. Get suited up.
All 4 of you heading out?
Before we leave, I'm gonna just try and like signal them to see if they have anybody like aware of what's going on board.
Oh, yeah. So you send out a hail. Nothing comes back. It's just static on the comms.
So I almost feel like I'm like leaning over with like holding the headphones as this doesn't come back, and throw it down and grab my actually I don't know if we have like suits or something that we wear in these things, but I'm grabbing the theoretical jacket here.
Yeah, you guys have like
dramatically.
flight suits with helms and stuff that you would wear inside the mechs.
Heading down, yep. I think we're all going.
Yeah, all 4 of you suit up. Again, the hum of the reactor. And Clank sort of pulls the lever on the bridge. The bottom drops out of the mech bay. The grapples let loose of the mech's shoulders, and you all drop into open space. And you see the Condor with 2 grapple lines attached to this derelict freighter. And occasionally Clank just fires off the retro thrusters to kind of keep them drifting together.
Viper Midnight would probably be the first to, I guess, like basically jump the distance between the two to go over to the other ship.
Yeah, you pop off your thrusters on the back of your mech, and you sort of clang onto the side of this other freighter. You can see that the hangar, sort of on the back of this ship, what would probably be some sort of hangar for either mechs or smaller ships like a gunship or something, is hanging open, and there's a way that you can sort of step inside.
Yeah, she would do that and radio back. Hangar's open. I'm going in real quick. Looking around.
Inside, you see that there are 2 large fuel canisters bolted to the floor with crash webbing, in addition to some supply crates on the other side of the hangar as well. If there were mechs or other craft inside this hangar, they long ago slipped out. It might be that they even used them to escape when the ship went down.
Commander, if people jumped ship and they just left people here, I think we should go and try to help them.
Let's get the fuel and go.
Kraken, you read my mind. We're a salvage job. We're not a rescue team.
Not our monkeys, not our circus.
Look at the ship. What can you tell me? Who are they? How long they been out here? Are they even worth saving?
Everybody's worth saving.
Can't put a credit amount on a life, and it's not worth my time.
Roger that, Commander.
So in addition to the 2 large fuel containers inside the hangar, there is an external sort of fuel container strapped to the side of this freighter as well, that you likely won't be able to remove without puncturing, but you could very easily siphon fuel from.
Let's top her off and get the hell out of here.
Crimson, how about you set up the siphoning units, and Kraken, come help me with these fuel tanks.
No problem.
Roger.
So Kraken, you get into the hangar. The bulk of your mech sort of blots out the stars as you hang onto the side and climb aboard. And the rest of you hook up this siphoning line, hooking it up to the fuel tank of the Condor. You move into the hangar, and as you're removing the crash webbing from these large fuel containers, Clank comes over the comms. Hey, I'm getting those heat signatures are getting hotter. I'm getting some weird readings from inside that ship. You guys see anything?
Is there like somewhere that I can peer in to where this heat is from the outside?
Yeah, it's
Or is
coming.
this, like, within...
It's coming from inside the hangar that Kraken and Viper are inside of right now.
I'm not going to go inside, but I think I'm just kind of covering the situation from the outside, trying to...
You're sort of just hovering outside the door, yeah.
Yeah.
And as Clank sort of finishes his comm, Kraken and Viper, you each get little poot, 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 poot indicators on your HUD sort of pointing backwards.
Company?
Do I see anything?
The supply crates behind you shift and then unfold, and this large mech appears, and its plating is these like flat panels that are designed to, as it folds up, look like supply crates, and it sort of and it has these 2 axes in its hands, and it just like wheels forward and throws one of the axes. Viper, I will need a mobility test from you.
That is a fail.
5 damage as this axe flies towards you and slams into your mech, and then immediately gets yanked out as electromagnets in this thing's hand pull the axe back. And it catches it again and then goes into a defensive stance. Let's roll for initiative. Oh boy. I always forget I don't need to roll for initiative. I wrote this game. All right.
So when we're doing initiative, sorry, is it what are we testing?
It's either going to be system or mobility, whichever is higher for you.
Okay, I got a success then.
Okay, cool. So it looks like Mammoth and Viper are going first, and then this guy, and then it'll be Widower and Omega. Thank you, Lloyd. All right. So Mammoth and Viper, you guys are up first. However, whatever order you want to go in. This mech is it's large. It's Titan chassis, so it's about the size of Kraken. It's carrying 2 axes and all of the plates that make up its sort of, like you guys said, Transformers disguise. It looks like really heavy plating. Like this thing is a heavy duty sort of scrapper mech designed to lie in wait and then get up close and dish out some damage.
Well, I think Viper's first instinct would be to, as a use action, activate her cloaking field. So her mech would start to shimmer, and this like energy would kind of pulse from it, and then she would be virtually gone. You wouldn't be able to see her anymore. And then I would like to move such that she like kind of around that other mech, so she's I guess towards the hangar side of where it would be. Not the hangar side, sorry, the open bay side.
Yeah, sort of trying to flank it so you have an opening at your back.
Yes, exactly.
Cool. You do so. So give me a reactor roll for your cloaking field, and then your second action is to move. So you're now at near range from, or close. He was near, now you're close.
Yeah, I passed on my reactor.
Great. All right. What about you, Viper? Or I'm sorry, Mammoth.
So I was trying to siphon.
Yeah, you got the line hooked up between the fuel tank of this freighter and the fuel tank of the Condor.
Am I also in the hangar where I see this guy, or am I?
No,
in
so
a
you're like
different-
on the underside of the freighter, and you can hear over the comms that something is happening, but you're not sure exactly what yet. So it would just be one move to be able to get sort of at the outside of the hangar where Widower is.
Okay, and if I move to the outside of the hangar, would I then be near
Yes.
to my allies?
Yes, correct.
So I'm just gonna say, yep, definitely should have checked those heat signatures. Thanks, Commander, and fly up and then just start trying to pep up Kraken as much as I can, saying, Kraken, he's right over here. All you need to do is turn around. You can go toe-to-toe with this big guy. Don't even worry. And I want to be using inspiring speech for Kraken.
Great. All right, bad guy's turn. He sort of looks and, not seeing Viper, turns his axes on you, Kraken. I need 2 mobility tests from you, please.
Okie dokie. Success. And success.
He throws both of these axes. How do you avoid that damage?
I don't think he even avoids it. It's just like the armor plating on Omega is like so thick that he like brings up the shield that he has, and there's like a boom, boom, and they both like maybe embed or like bounce off. But either way, he's able to resist.
And again, he pulls the axes back and sort of gets into this defensive stance as it is now your turn. Oh, what happened? You guys switched.
That was me. That was my bad. I don't know what the hell happened on my computer, and it just kicked me off.
God damn
One
it,
job.
Aaron. You had
Yeah,
one job.
I know.
Yeah. Don't
Look-
turn the camera off.
look.
No, I didn't even mean to turn the camera off, but like my internet just froze up for a second, and it was like, no, don't let
Look
this
how
happen.
easy it is to fix, though. I can fix it. Okay, while I'm doing this, it is Widower and Kraken. Your turn.
So can I just get a quick recap of what just? what just
Yeah,
happened?
so Crimson Mammoth sort of came up alongside you and gave an inspiring speech to Kraken Omega. The bad guy mech threw both of its axes at Kraken Omega and did absolutely no damage. The axes just embedded themselves in the plating, and then he pulled them back into his hands.
Excellent. While Mammoth is standing next to me, I would like to use my reinforce action to give him a D6.
Great. So now he's got that D6 and the inspiring speech.
Hit him hard. And then I'm going to try and shoot this thing with my other action.
Go for it.
I'm not very good at shooting. No, not very good at all. 16 over 10.
So are you firing with the little SMGs that you guys got last time?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you and they just, and the mech kind of just looks at you as the bullets kind of ping off, as it's like, oh, there's someone over there too, sort of taking note of the other mechs outside the hangar.
It's playtime. Let's do this.
All right, Omega, you're up.
All right. So he's not even looking in the right direction at this stage. He's now going to turn this massive beam rifle and begin the process of
Oh baby.
And he's going to fire it twice. So once I'm going to use advantage. Why not? Okay, that's a 1.
Oh, God.
Oh, he's yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Right. Is it good? Is it bad? Yeah. So that's good. And then I'll with the second one, 7, which is also a hit.
All right, so reactor roll since you did attack twice.
Yes. D6.
And then
it's a 4.
That first hit was a critical, so double your damage after you roll it.
Okay. 14 total.
Jesus.
Plus 2 damage for the big gun.
Yeah, and then that second attack?
7. 21.
So anyone outside of the freighter sees a beam cut through the side of the freighter, just and disappear into the void of space. This mech is standing there holding these 2 axes, and then it just and falls into a heap, a smoldering heap. The beam went right through the cockpit. It was like surgical, just, and the pilot is just vaporized. The mech lays there lifeless.
I think Kraken Omega is pushed a few feet backwards, and there's a along the ground from this unexpected force. When you use a huge mech and fully charge this thing, it's clearly devastating. Much more so than he was expecting.
Yeah, and I think Viper would actually at this point, she was just about ready to attack the guy. That's what she was. So she'd also decloak, and you'd be seeing her standing right over, ready to hit it, and she's looking at you, and you can almost see even through her mech's in the cockpit, her eyes are huge, holy shit, that thing. It's Kraken, wow.
Over the comms, you hear Clank. Shit. Looks like it was a fairly standard damsel in distress, guys. You all okay?
Yep, the damsel is no longer in distress.
He probably wasn't expecting 4 fully armed mechs with alien tech to stop by.
Is anyone really ever expecting that?
I mean, we will be now.
We got the edge.
Well, Siphon's hooked up. I'm topping up the tanks, and looks like you can take your time salvaging what you want.
Clank, anything else about those other heat signatures?
Heat signatures went out pretty abruptly about 15 seconds ago when that beam shot through that cockpit.
Okay, music to my ears.
So there is the 2 fuel storage canisters, which are coincidentally filled with fuel. And this mech is surprisingly intact. The cockpit is a mess, but otherwise you can salvage stuff from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's carrying 2 axes, light melee weapons with the thrown quality, meaning that they are melee weapons that you can throw and then they return to your hand after you throw them. And we can roll to see what else it was carrying.
I mean, Lloyd, you destroyed it.
All right. Yeah. I fucking
by,
love this.
by rights. So D6 roll first.
A 5.
Ooh. D12 twice, please.
Oh, yes, the best dice. A 8 and a 7.
8 and a 7. Oh, man. Okay, so it was also... On its back, you find a multi-barrel revolving chain gun.
Stop.
And it didn't have a chance to use it, but it's modded out with a particle barrier.
Just stop. It's too much. You know just what to say to me. That's amazing. Wonderful.
I know what you want, Lloyd.
Keep it in your pants.
You want a chain gun and a particle barrier.
I absolutely do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking great. Okay, so I'll report that basically that we have these things that have been. I think it's more of I walk over there and look through the smoking wreckage and with the little manipulator arms reach in and begin to separate things out and pull them off.
Yeah, so you get and there's also the 2 throwing axes as well that you can you guys can divvy all that stuff up as you wish.
Yeah, so while Kraken is playing with the salvaging that mech, Viper would be continuing to try to remove these fuel cells and get it back to our ship.
Yep, you do so without too much effort. You load them both up into the little storage that you have left in the second container aboard the Condor. As you're loading them up, you see both CK-90s sitting there, sort of grisly looking in the dark, these gigantic cannons. All right, looks like you guys pulled off everything useful. Tanks are topped off. We're good to go.
Oh, well, that's that. Let's make our way to Slipstar.
Hey, wait,
day you
Commander.
find a piece of gold hurtling through space. Speak freely.
One thing before we leave. Can I fire this thing?
I don't see why not. It's for science or engineering.
Yeah, for science.
Wait a second. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe when we're on our ship, you can fire it at the. We're here, you know. And he's trying to make it clear, why would we fire this gun in this enclosed space?
Oh no! Yeah, everyone leave first for sure.
Okay, just because there will still be fuel, and reactors are very explosive, and we don't know what this gun does. And it's trying to explain to a kid why you shouldn't put a firework in your mouth, and he understands. He's shaking his head sort of slowly.
And
we should test it.
And the kid's like, I'm not going to put it in my mouth. I was going to put it outside of my mouth and try to shoot it out of my mouth.
Right.
I think, as you're explaining it too, I'll just be looking at you, yeah, and trying to charge up the gun. I'm gonna do it. And once everyone is safely out of that ship, I will try to just
and as everyone else gets aboard the Condor and you're getting ready to charge up this gun, the cables disconnect and clank Does a couple like burst to like move the Condor away from the ship, like getting a safe distance? All right, you should be free and clear.
All right, let's see what this can do. Test power.
Kraken has a bunch of like emergency like shutdown measures just in case, with like the fire systems and stuff, or like the what do you call that? Like purge all the air from the, just in case like the atmosphere catches fire. Like we have no idea what it could do.
So yeah, test power, Philip.
Success.
Go ahead and roll your reactor die.
Not 1 or 2.
So you repeat that sort of process. The tentacles wind themselves together, creating this kind of elongated barrel. And there's this like pulse that shoots out of the arm, and it passes through the freighter. And for a second you're like, oh, like nothing happened. And then the freighter just like splits in half and explodes. The reactor goes critical, and there's this like blinding explosion as the freighter just dissolves.
And I am just laughing maniacally as I make my way back to the Condor. Oh, did you see that? Oh, why did you tell me to use that, Kraken? You're crazy, man. You're crazy.
There's like blue steam, like sort of coming off the end of this barrel.
Yeah, like in Kraken's cockpit, there's a bunch of like what the hell's happening? Like, oh my god, there are so many things that are wrong here. Like, this is not good. You should not use this thing. It's like a war crime probably somewhere. But he's like thinking about it, and he's like trying to process it, and he's like doing calculations and stuff, and like things like it's probably worthwhile.
Were weapons of that caliber outlawed at the Slipstar convention?
It's definitely not something you want to be on the receiving end of, that's for sure. I think that's the kind of shit that split the Gyre in half.
Ooh, and that definitely strikes
where's the it's gonna split some guys in half. Come on, man. This is your job, Kraken will say, and he's like shaking his head.
Well, let's try and keep this in our back pocket, just in case.
Fulcrum Drive is back up. Do we want to shorten the trip?
What do you say, Kraken? How we looking?
You know me, Commander. If we're not in a huge hurry, I'd rather, and now that we got the fuel, save it for when we really need it, just in case we need to get out of here somewhere really, really quickly. Like, if we didn't have it back then, we'd be dead. But I understand that nobody wants to sit around in the ship all day, so up to you, sir.
I'll allow it. Make the repairs you need. Theo's not going anywhere. And if she does, perhaps it'd be better to be off the planet than on it. Maintain course, Clank.
You got it. All right, that seems like a good place to take a break. So we are going to take a quick fiver here, and when we come back, we're going to continue the fun of Scrappers. So thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. You are watching the Mecha Hack Scrappers Session 2 Broken Moon, and we are back from our break and ready to embark on some more robot punching action. So, you guys have decided to not use the Fulcrum drive to get closer to Slipstar, and you are instead banking on the fuel that you just salvaged, which should be more than enough to get you to Slipstar. You continue navigating your way through the system of Lodestar Alpha, making some minor repairs to the mechs as you go. Viper Midnight in particular took some damage from that rival salvager that you ran into. On the HoloNet, the stories are the same. Worlds losing contact one after the other. Images of strange spacecraft appearing in the sky. Strange-looking mechs dropping from orbit. And at one point, you pass by a moon that may have at one point been a colony, and it is completely scorched, barren. The surface looks like it's glass now. You're not sure what kind of firepower could have done that. Certainly not anything that the Neos or the Terrans have access to. The moon, as you pass by it, looks like a charcoal briquette. It's black with lines of red running through it. If there was any life on that planet, it is not there anymore. You travel for several more hours, and Viper, you're on the helm, and there's a blip on the HUD. It says incoming broadcast.
Pull her up.
All right, Commander. And she would do so.
You accept the broadcast, and on the HUD, this window appears. You see the face of a middle-aged man. He has the look of a soldier about him. His hair is cropped close to his head. He has several grisly-looking scars on his face, and he's wearing a tattered uniform. He's leaning forward into the camera, his face shining with sweat. This is Captain Halrund of the Neo Freighter. Dawnstar, broadcasting on all channels to anyone that can hear us. We are being pursued by something. Refuses to give up the chase. Our Fulcrum drive is disabled. We are requesting assistance from any nearby craft. Please, if you get this, respond. Lock onto our transponder. We need your help. The message blips off.
Cap, do you know whose lives are worth credits?
I'm sorry, Baron, I didn't hear you.
Am I quiet? Is that
No, you
better?
just cut out a little bit for me.
I'm hoping my internet can hold intact for the remainder. I don't know why it psyched it up. From what I can tell, those are some shiny credits in those uniforms. I think it's worth going to save them.
Can we save them?
I mean, save is merely a means of it. Save, ransom.
You know what's chasing them, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those.
Which means they're in the system. And even if we make it to Slipstar, who's to say that they won't be hot on our ass?
I think it's at this point too that Viper Cat would see that flash of that face again as we're talking about this, and she would just kind of shudder a little bit. You could physically see her as her body just shakes. If we don't all help to repel this thing, they're not going to leave any of us alive.
Seems like a lot of risk and no reward.
If everyone's dead, who will we sell stuff to?
What, are we going to take on the alien horde? 4 of us?
No, but we can
One ship isn't so much a horde. But I see what you're saying.
if we can get these guns to somebody who can use them. I mean, we can't use them. They're sitting here. They're money for us, sure. But they're just junk if everybody's dead.
I mean, we're selling these guns. We're not giving them to anybody, right?
No,
I mean,
no, of course not.
Okay. Just so we're clear on that, because I did.
That's
Yeah.
out of the question.
Yeah, of course, we gotta sell them.
Those things don't leave our bank or our hall until we have some sort of transaction in our account. But who's to say? Go ahead.
Maybe these uniforms want to buy them. As you say, Commander, they're worth credits.
I don't know. I don't think we should help them.
They might be more willing to buy them if we do.
From the sounds of it, they're about just as desperate as Terrans are.
Just as desperate with deeper pockets.
He would try not to smile.
How far away was the blip that we saw?
If you... Oh. Of course I'm muted. If you lock onto the transponder from where the broadcast was, they're probably an hour and a half out of your way.
They're close. And if that thing is that close, we got to make up our minds real quick where we're going with this, because somebody's got to be able to use these guns and try to maybe, hopefully, get rid of this alien thing. But if we don't decide right now, then we're all dead, because there's no time.
Going towards them seems like really not a good plan. I don't see how this is a discussion. Going towards the aliens seems like a bad idea. Going away from them seems like a good idea. Also, selling these guns to somebody that we know is there seems like a good idea, as opposed to maybe saving these people who we don't know and have no care for. He'll like shrug and like cut comms. He's like said his bit.
I've got to agree with Silas there. I mean, these guns, we've got to have time to get them onto something that's going to be able to use them. That's not this Neo freighter. We'd have seconds to transport it over there.
I'm not unreasonable. Carrick on course. We'll dump him at the Slipstar.
Clank, keep us set for Slipstar.
You got it. He sort of
Let's pray they don't catch us.
You continue on your charted course towards Slipstar. After about an hour, there's another bleep, 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 incoming broadcast. It's from the same transponder. You want me to let it through?
No. We don't need to see that.
Coward!
Clank. Hits a button, and the little blip on the HUD sort of disappears. The Condor continues on its course, and soon enough, you see before you Slipstar. You've heard tales of this place, how it used to be a hub for pirates and raiders. It's a broken moon, not habitable on its surface, held together by a little more than gravity and some sheer force of will. As you get close, you see that this broken, fragmented moon is veined with structures and tunnels. There are lights running all through this place. And you see several large domed cities on its surface. All around this broken moon of Slipstar, there are cruisers, gunships, smaller craft, zooming in and out of hangars, making patrols all around. As you get close, two large mechs sort of come up alongside you, almost like the cloud cars in Empire Strikes Back, just like keeping pace. You can see them just out of the viewport. Both of them have large thrusters on their back, specialized for space combat. They're both holding submachine guns. You see the glowing visors of the heads as the mechs turn towards you over the comms. Unidentified freighter, you're approaching sanctioned space, Slipstar, owned by the Terran Collective. Please identify yourselves and your business in this sector.
This is Captain Theodore Waltz of the Condor, requesting permission to land.
Condor, seems we're expecting you. We'll be your escort. Go ahead and angle yourself towards Hangar 19. Node will meet you there.
If you can, I'd like to get patched through to Thea.
I'll see if she's busy. Give me 1 second. She'll talk to you. Patching through. Teddy, what's up?
One to skip formalities as ever. We had a Neo-Dominion bogey out a couple hours back. They tried to put up communication links, but figured it wasn't going to be worth our time. Figured I'd let you know before they get too close. They had an unidentified follower.
We got the broadcast too. Did you listen to the second one?
Care to give me a summarized version?
The too long didn't listen summary is that they won't be coming this way.
Seems like there is still luck in this side of the galaxy.
Not for them. For us, sure.
That's how luck works, baby.
I'm surprised you didn't try to pawn those cannons off on the Neos.
Sometimes the risk isn't worth it.
Right, well, I'll be seeing you in person shortly.
Roger that.
The mechs guide you in. You get closer to Slipstar, and you sort of fly through the broken crust of this moon and into the innards, which, like I said, are veined with these like tunnels and structures, these pylons sort of holding everything together. Lights everywhere. You see other mechs on the surface mining things out of the crust. And all these mechs They actually look like yours. They're all labor mechs, big, bulky mechs that are sort of retrofitted with weapons and shields and armor. All of them completely unique. They're not mass produced at all. They don't look like the Neo mechs. You fly through the innards of the moon, getting towards the center, and there's this bank of hangars in the center of the moon, and the mechs sort of direct you towards one off to the right. You bring the Condor in and set her down inside this hangar. The hangar is massive. It's filled with gunships and these retrofitted mechs being built and modified. There's like the stereotypical just shower of like sparks from welding, just like all over the place. It's just like rainfalls of sparks from all of these mechs being worked on. There's little hovercrafts zooming all over the place, carrying supplies, pieces of mechs, men and women running all over the place in these dingy jumpsuits. As you fly in, this mech that looks like it's half, the top half is a mech and the bottom half is a tank, and it kind of rolls forward on these treads and swivels, keeping these gigantic cannons on its shoulders just like on your ship as you come in, just keeping a tight bead on you. Clank sort of looks out the viewport with his optic sensors and then looks at you, Viper. Quite the welcoming party.
Not a lot of trust around these parts, I'd say.
No honor among thieves.
Gee, wonder why.
Hey, do we want to have some sort of plan if things go south here? What should I do?
We gotta be ready to escape, or at least attempt to. Kraken, were you able to make the repairs you needed?
Yep, jump drive's ready to go whenever we need it.
I can stand by on the guns if we need them.
Keep them hot.
You got it. As the Condor touches down, begins venting excess heat, you see Theanode coming towards you. She has a small contingent of guys with her that are cradling these rifles and shotguns. And she sort of stands there, her mechanical arm crossed over her real one, waiting for you guys to disembark.
Be careful. You probably met Rattlers a little bit more friendly than she is.
And before we start negotiating, do I know?
See ya.
Oh,
No, go ahead.
do I know what the value of those guns is? Like, what the actual value of them is, and what like a reasonable offer might be?
So, the guns themselves are worth probably between 20 and 30,000 a piece. Thea over the comms offered you 10,000 a piece.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is not an unreasonable offer, but you're probably hoping for a little bit more than that.
Right, like they're stolen and all
Yeah.
the rest.
Yeah. It's also like 20,000 is more money than any of you have ever even thought about having.
Yeah, for sure.
Gotta say that these market value of these things isn't my forte, Kraken. Feel free to interject.
I'll do my best.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of.
Commander, do you need anyone to stay with the ship besides Clank? Or can he handle it?
Might as well we all go. Stretch our legs. Clank can handle the ship.
All right.
disembark.
The four of you walk down the ramp. It does the stereotypical like venting steam as it comes down. You all walk down, your boots clanking. Thea waits until you get close and kind of takes a few moments to size all of you up. Then she looks at Teddy. You got uglier.
You got nicer.
Something I've never been accused of before. Cannons in there?
Yeah.
Well, like I said, 10K apiece. We'll take them off your hands, put them to good use.
So that's my thought, is you can put these things to use. 10 is a little low.
A little low. She kind of looks at one of the guys and he sort of shrugs. 20,000 credits, Teddy. That's twice the amount this hunk of junk you're flying around in is worth.
They're worth that each. Each cannon is worth that, and you know that. And so
they're worth that off the assembly line. These are cut with welding torches off a wrecked Dominion cruiser. I'm not paying full price.
They're cut by the best mechanic in this side of the anywhere.
Oh, is that right? Well, maybe I should be buying you then and not the cannons.
He's not for sale.
Everything's for sale, Teddy.
At one point, I'd believe you. Until the thing we're talking about makes me more money than you can imagine.
You can do 12.5 for each cannon.
Can I?
Easily. For these things?
The net gain itself is enough to make you want them.
She thinks for a second. I can do 12 each, plus free room and board, hot meals, hot showers, for as long as you want to stay here in Slipstar, if you cut the reactors loose with them. These things have power?
Yeah.
Kraken, looks concerned for a second and then smiles. Am I the best or am I the best?
That remains to be seen.
All right. Might as well let them get a peep at what they're buying, right?
Actually, Commander, can I have a quick word?
Absolutely.
We do a little sidebar. We're like, we have the alien mech on our ship. Maybe we don't bring them onto the ship and show them the alien mech.
My talents with sleight of hand are lacking, but if we show them the hull with the cannons, they're not going to look in the hull with our mechs.
You never know. All it takes is one of them to poke their head around the corner.
I didn't say they were going alone.
As you two are talking, Thea sort of yells across the hangar, "Take all the time you need. There's not an alien invasion happening or anything."
We're in a position to wait. We'll show you the cannons. It's a cramped ship. You know the routine.
I just want to make sure the cannons are intact and that the reactors are included.
All right, Kraken, I'm sure there's a representative, or is she going?
No, she would send one of her gun-toting cronies.
Escort him. Show him what he needs to see.
All right, big man with me.
This gigantic guy toting a shotgun sort of shoulders the gun and follows behind you. Meanwhile, Thea kind of ushers the three of you over, and there's a small little table that's littered with scraps of things. She sweeps things aside and makes room and puts some tin cups on the table and begins pouring this clearly grain alcohol that they've been fermenting themselves. She pours out cups for everybody. We always drink to deals.
Nothing beats tradition.
She throws one back. Coincidentally, we always drink on the eve of war, too.
not take my shot. Never really liked fermented berg root.
I remember otherwise. You used to like fighting too, Teddy. What happened to that?
Teddy is not like a disabled person, but he's very like, you can tell he's had some broken bones, and like some of them weren't set correctly, probably like a collarbone. So like part of this is like protruding very weirdly under like my tunic. Yeah, you get shook up too many times, loses its fun.
She kind of rolls her mechanical shoulder. I hear that.
I'm sure there's a story there, but like you said, perhaps there's not time. So this deal.
If my man says the guns are intact with reactors, 12 apiece. That's my final offer.
That's fine. I'm more concerned on what you plan to do with them. Not so much out of concern as I am curious.
I plan to put them on the surface of this moon in case an alien ship jumps out of a portal at us.
Have you seen it?
No. Just the vids.
There's something about overwhelming horror that holovid just doesn't give you.
No. You lose the sense of scale, too. You were there at the eclipse. Did you see anything?
Nothing worth noting. It was when we were getting ready to leave that we seen the ship appear from God knows where. Took out the Geyer in one shot.
That's what I've heard. Some kind of high-tech beam weaponry. Slices right through shields.
The side of the fight that gets their hand on those wins the war.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Aboard the Condor, this big guy steps into the cargo hold. Damn. Never seen a CK-90 up close. They're big as hell.
Yeah, they are. These ones are in absolutely top notch. I modulated the photonic phasers. I scrubbed the plutonium shock absorbers. I calibrated the particle interceptors, and I cleaned up the subharmonic oscillators. And these babies, they are cleaned up, cleanly severed, and ready to go.
This guy just nods along, clearly knowing exactly what you're talking about. He kind of walks around him. Clean weld lines. You cut this off a dreadnought?
Yeah.
Impressive.
Under fire, too.
No shit.
Imagine if I'd had a lot of time.
Man, we could use salvagers like you here on Slipstar. You ever think about going legit? We give you a job.
The pay is much better doing what we do.
I hear that. I made twice what I do now, doing hits for crime bosses and shit like that, but I sleep better now. He kind of walks around. These look good. Reactors here too. He jerks his head back at the door to the other hold. What's in there?
Spice and shit.
Oh yeah? Anything you're wanting to sell?
We have a buyer a few systems over.
That's a shame. I'm sure we could beat the price.
Yeah, when you're in our line of work, all you have is your word, you know? If you make a deal, you got to stick with it, or else nobody makes a deal with you again.
Way things are going, your buyer might not even be alive by the time you get to him.
Well, if he's not, we'll be sure to come back.
All right, suit yourself.
It's some real good stuff, too. We got, like, spice, we got glitter, fizz, like, all of that. But, you know, we already made the deal, so.
All right. He shoulders the gun again. Everything looks in order here. Let's go tell Thea.
All right.
Walks down the gangway and comes over. He whispers some words in Thea's ear. She nods to him. He says cruiser killers look top-notch. Reactor's intact, so 12 apiece as agreed upon, Teddy. He also says you got some stuff in the other hold that we might be interested in. Sure I can't talk you out of it?
We already have that Bly Eye Commander, remember?
You know how it is. It's all by the word of who's selling. Can't go back on it.
Yeah, and who's the buyer? You don't mind me asking?
Some dweeb over in the next sector looking to start a salvage bunker of some kind.
All right. Well, it doesn't pan out. We're always looking to buy.
Hopefully with these, you'll be able to meet here when we get back.
That's what I'm hoping. Things are changing, Teddy. She brings out her data pad and begins the transfer of credits. Been fighting against the damn Neos for so long. It's bittersweet seeing them toppled like this. Always thought it would be me that did it. Instead, it's
bittersweet.
Something none of us could have anticipated. You know, if these invaders, seems like they might be setting up shop. If rumors are true, they might be here to stay.
I can tell you that's not good for you, me, or anybody we know.
Ain't that the damn truth? Teddy,
Got
you're a good
plan?
fighter. For what it seems, even a better salvager. Your crew seems legit. My man says the weld lines were the cleanest he's ever seen.
Damn straight.
There's a place for you on Slipstar, if you want it. I'll let you come and go as you please. But you bring your shit back to me.
That seems like a second negotiation following our first one, and one I'd have to talk over with my crew.
I respect
I mean,
that.
I'd rather work for the comrades than for the black boots if it's all the same. Much prefer these guys to the Dominion.
We all have our preferences, Kraken. At least talk it over with the whole crew in the same room.
Neos would have put you in manacles if you tried to sell them the CK90s. And then they would have vented you out into space.
There's
I know
a
that for
reason
sure.
why we came here, not there.
That was the smart move, Teddy. My guy will show you to your quarters. You're free to stay here as long as you want. If you feel like helping set up the CK90s, they'd probably go up a lot faster.
We'll see.
Yeah, I'll just charge my usual rate.
I respect that.
I almost picture there's like a business card, but it like automatically puts you in the system to like clock in.
His contractor license that he just like, meh.
Yeah, that's something that we would have.
Yeah. She thumbs a few more keys on her data pad, and you get a little bloop bloop on your data pad, widower, and you see the transfer of 24,000 credits into your account.
Beautiful.
We're gonna unload those cannons. You four should get some sleep and maybe a hot shower. You all look like shit.
We got some things to take care of aboard the Condor. We'll give you a hand.
Fair enough.
I mean, I think I'd be done. We'll do just that. Turn to walk away.
The four of you go back aboard the Condor. Thea sort of turns to deal with something else. You see her overseeing them taking this labor mech with these like gigantic piston fists, and they start fitting like with a winch, putting in this gigantic thunder cannon from a tank on its shoulder and start like welding it in place. The four of you go back on the Condor, and Clank greets you. So, How'd it go?
Good, but you make damn sure that they don't fuck those cannons up getting them off. I'm not paying for that shit.
All right, I'll make sure.
So, what's the word? Do we want work or we want to get the hell out of here while we still have the chance?
I'd say that connections with these people is a good thing. And I know we don't get political, but this is the side that I would end up on.
Yeah, I'm sorry about wanting to save the uniforms back there, Commander. She was right. I would have been a death sentence. Glad I have you guys to keep me alive, and I don't know the last time I've been able to call a moon a home.
Let's not move so quickly.
You didn't fight for him, though, right? Back in the day. It's no good. Their army is... You're just a number. Here, I think, at least with these people, you're a name.
Among other things. Can't lie. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, singing your heart's in the right place. Just gotta harden it a little bit.
You'd think exposure to the vacuum would have did that.
Yeah, I guess I just hate to see more people die, but we're doing what's right.
Exactly. Perhaps we should see what they have for work before we jump to anything.
And it certainly can't hurt to have good relations with them and to be on sort of a good footing. I think we always have somewhere to sell.
Yeah, I mean, the Condor is not meant for long range travel either. It's not like we have a ship that can just pop in, pop out where we want to go. We have that to think about too.
Valid points. Very well. Now here comes the question that needs answering is what do we do with the alien tech?
My gut would say that if anyone human can learn how to use it, it's the Dominion.
That shit's ours.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. Look at this. And I'll point to Crimson Mammoth. Not the only people.
I was able to super glue the arm to your mech. That's not the same as understanding it. I don't know how it works, and I don't know if there's enough hours that I have left breathing for me to figure it out. But the Dominion have the best scientists, they have the best facilities, they have all of this stuff, and if anyone is going to figure out how to use this tech, it's going to be them. And if we're thinking about how to save the galaxy, then that's probably what we need to do.
What's to stop them from venting us once we give them the alien tech then?
Why would they? It's not like we've stolen their cannons, at least as far as I know. I mean, I'm happy to sell this thing or to work on it for the rest of my life and see what we can do with it. But there was a lot of talk about saving the galaxy and a lot of dramatic music that I could hear and a lot of swelling of hearts and teary eyes. And so I figure if we're going to save the galaxy, then this is the way to do it. I don't like it, but it's probably...
I don't know who you were listening to, but all I could hear was the sound of my check being deposited into my account. Bleeding hearts don't get you paid.
No, they don't. But enough bleeding hearts and there's nobody left. They're right on that.
We'll sit on it. We don't have a position to sell it to the Dominion yet, and I'd rather not have Terrans find out about it. Partially why I wanted to be on board when they unloaded the ship. Sneaky bastards. You don't get this far by keeping your nose clean. Did they make a play for it when he was in here?
He just asked what was in the other hangar. I told him it was spice.
Spice. From that desert planet. People want that shit all over the galaxy.
It's not going to hold up forever, though, because apparently, and I shouldn't be surprised, people want to buy drugs. So we got to do something with this thing eventually. And I also think, and maybe this is crazy, but I think that there's something still going on with it. I still feel its presence sometimes.
I don't know if I want to tell you that you're being superstitious or probably right. Either way, we'll keep it on our under monitored surveillance.
I agree. I think we should get rid of it as soon as we can.
I could try and take some parts out of it, see what the reactor is made of, and if I had a little bit of downtime, I could see if I could salvage anything else from it, and then we could just vent it.
Do you think they're tracking it?
That's
Fuck.
not really a thought that I wanted to consider.
I do now.
All right, well let's start to maybe kickstart this plan rather than back burner it. Take what you can off of it. Nothing traceable, and we vent it as soon as we leave.
All right, I'll get to work, and I will get to work. I'm going to see if I can pull the reactor out of it, and then things like targeting systems and any sort of high tech stuff that our mechs don't have.
Great. So you get started on that. The rest of you, Thea's guys come over. There's a couple large labor mechs with pincer arms that come over to unload the CK-90s. Basically, the bottom of the cargo hold will open up. The winches will lower the cannons down, and they can grab them and unload them. As this is happening, Thea's kind of standing there watching it. This might be the difference, Teddy.
Well, talked it over with the crew. I kind of like having a solid stream of work. What'd you have in mind before we agree to anything?
That's music to my ears, Teddy. Well, currently, Neo cruisers are dropping off the map like flies, losing contact with worlds one after another. It's been barely a day. I think a dozen planets have fallen. All of that means scrap, salvage, weapons and armor and mechs going unused. If you bring them here, we can make use of them. And we're not heartless. We kill Neos by the thousands, but now it's us versus them. And if any refugees come flying this way, we'll give them the same option. Stay here and work, or get lost.
So many bleeding hearts today.
I don't think there's any blood in there left for me to bleed, Teddy. I'm just a pragmatist. People come here looking to work, looking to fight. Who am I to say no? I'll put a gun in their hands and tell them where to point it.
Well then, who do I need to talk to start some salvage?
Well, Right now, probably Hank over there. He's overseeing these mechs. He's keeping tabs on all the cruisers going down. He can probably tell you where stuff is to find. You go talk to him, he'll set you up with work. One of the guys comes running over to her and whispers some words in her ear. Shit. Excuse me for a second, Teddy. And she goes running off in the other direction.
I would turn to walk over to Hank. Is anybody with me? I know Kraken's doing his Kraken thing.
He's cracking along.
No, Singa would be at some like temple or something, pretty much trying to mourn the death of the Geyer.
Kat, care to accompany me over to Hank here?
I got your back.
Someone's got to.
Hank is a giant guy. At one point, he was probably incredibly fit. He still has these tree trunk arms, but he has a sagging gut hanging over his considerable tool belt. He's kind of ushering one of the winches over to put another thunder cannon on the shoulder of this labor mech. He sees you coming. Hey, you must be Teddy. I'm Hank.
Hank, it seems like you're the man with the plan. Where do we need to go?
Ain't no plan, just reacting to what's happening. You salvages, yeah?
Best of the business.
Let me see what I can get up for you. He goes over to a computer terminal and starts typing stuff in. Those CK90s you brought in, those will go a long way.
Can't say that it was the easiest, but
It'll actually be interesting to see what happens if we have to fire them off. Cruisers have stabilizers, retro thrusters. Slipstar doesn't have that. I'm fully planning on adjusting the axial tilt of this place after those things fire.
perhaps it's a mean of escape.
Didn't think of
Blow
it
the
like
whole
that.
thing out of orbit.
Didn't even think of it like that. Looks like we got a few options. He kind of starts pointing at this dingy monitor. Looks like a couple cruises went down here in Sector 7. Alpha, right here. That's a forward Neo base. That dropped off the map 2 hours ago. That was a mech factory plant there. They'd pump out 100 mech chassis a day, Titan, Striker, whatever you needed. I bet you could probably fit quite a few chassis in that hull of yours.
Speculatively, at least.
That would probably be priority. I have weapons coming out of my ass and not enough chassis to bolt them to. If you can get away with even 5 or 6 mechs, I'd be eternally grateful.
Is there like some sort of like kind of like the business card thing, like this hollow chip that I can take that's got the information?
Yeah, he like types in a few things and a little card spits out that you can put in your data pad and he hands it back to you. Coordinates and intel are in there.
Good.
I noticed you don't have any long-range scanners or comms on the Condor. That's gonna be a problem.
How much you selling them for?
Honestly, you give me 2 hours, I'll hook them up for free.
It sounds easy as that, but I don't know if my engineer will like you playing with the Condor.
If he wants to install them himself, more power to him. I could put one of my guys on it, though, and you can grab a couple hours sleep instead.
I would like the equivalent of a text message to Kraken. Like, hey, I know you're busy. Is this okay?
You like cut to him and he's like got like a blowtorch inside the mech and there's like tentacles that are like is just trying to figure it out. He like comes up on the AOR or whatever, and he's like, "All right, sure."
Very well. Sounds like a plan.
All right, we'll get you set up. Can't have one of my salvages not able to phone home.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, you get me those mech chassis, I'll be a happy boy.
We aim to please.
Thea comes running back over. You mentioned that Neo ship that you got a beacon from before you got here. How close did you get to that ship?
In terms of space-time, like an hour.
Well, it seems whatever was chasing it is coming this way.
I suggest you put out every offensive measure you have and blow that thing out of fucking orbit.
I did, but it just disappeared.
I got no answer for you.
We were tracking it, and then it just went away.
How do we travel faster than light? Is it like warp?
Yeah,
Do I know?
it's essentially like it's like an instant transmission. It's like you basically leave one area and then instantly appear at the other. So it's not like you're going into another like dimension necessarily. It's like a
Okay.
You saw this thing or something like it destroy the Gyre. You said it came out of nowhere, right?
Just about.
Cloaking? Teleportation? What? Best guess. That's all I'm asking.
You ever rip the top of a pie? Kind of like that, but space is the pie.
That makes more sense to me than it should, Teddy.
It really didn't when I seen it.
I gotta go try and deal with this. You have your orders from Hank?
We're gonna go get some chassis. See what we can do for the plan.
Right. I'm gonna go see what I can do about... And there's a strange sensation that all of you feel all at once. It's a high-pitched whine that sort of starts on the edge of your senses and then slowly builds up to a drone. As you look around to see if anyone else can hear it, you see every engineer, every tech, every soldier in this hangar doing the same thing, looking around. Your vision ripples, and there's kind of this tugging sensation, the same sort of feeling that you get whenever you activate the fulcrum drive on the ship. And then close to a dozen mechs appear inside the hangar in pillars of blue light. Beam weapons instantly fire up. One of the mechs, the one on the treads, turns to fire, and the beam just cuts through it. The top slides off of the bottom, and then there's a explosion as the reactor goes. Alarms begin blaring. Thea begins shouting orders. There's fire. There's smoke. What do you all do?
Cat's making a bolt for the ship. As soon as that sound, that droning sound was in the ears, she was heading towards the ship, heading towards her mech suit.
Same.
Cracker, we need you to fire those reactors now.
Yes, sir. Is there any reaction from the mech that I'm like inside of messing with?
It definitely starts sort of like wriggling more. Like it's weird being inside this thing. Like as you're manipulating things, it's almost like working with nerves in like a corpse. Like it's like twitching and stuff as you're messing with stuff. And as the alien mechs teleport inside the hangar, it begins sort of like thrashing around, its head sort of twitching to the side.
Yeah, I'll run outside and see if I can get those cannons working, I guess. Is that what you asked me to do? Go get the reactors working?
More for our mechs than fuck them.
Okay, I got you. I'm going to get in my mech either way, and then I'll see which reactors I mess with.
Sounds good. All right, so you're all running towards the Condor and getting in your mechs, essentially. All right, let's go ahead and roll for initiative. Okay. Thank you, Lloyd. All right. So Kraken, Viper, and Widower, you three are up first. So as I said, there's close to a dozen of these mechs inside the hangar. Only one of them looks like the one that you tangled with before, this kind of like insectoid looking with the tentacles off of it. All of the other ones are these strange two-legged mechs that are sort of galloping around on these two spindly legs. And each of them has this rotating sort of beam turret on top of its head that's just like sort of spraying these like molten beams of blue energy all over the place.
So my plan would be to run into that hangar and basically deploy and hope that they shoot me and not my companions, and just like bellow over the comms, which I guess we should probably share with the what are they called? The Terran Resistance, to focus this with the tentacles to like take that out. It's probably the command module.
So you like drop out of the drop pod with the mechs and just sort of like I imagine you sort of superhero slam down on the ground. And are you deploying your barricade mode? Is that what you said?
Yeah, definitely. Like organize that and like various like support beams will like into the ground so that he's like stable, and then like various shields will like pop up and all around him. So I'm going to do that, and then I guess I'll shoot somebody.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and shoot the big guy.
Okay.
That's 1. Oh my god.
Okay. Damn, dude, that's your second critical.
Yeah. Dirty about it. Oh, so I roll ones and double it, right?
Yes.
14.
Damn. Let me roll its shields. It negates 3 of that. It takes 11.
Yeah, so he'll like land and then deploy and then and it looks like he'll actually say, "Got its attention, get behind me."
Yeah, as the beam cuts through it, it kind of sort of looks over at you, and this insectoid cluster of eyes, they kind of come together and zero in on you, Kraken, and it begins coming towards you. It's actually using the tentacles to walk, and you see its like legs and arms just hanging off the floor as it like spider crawls towards you on these tentacles. Way too fast for something that size. Okay, Viper and Widower, you guys still have turns left here before it goes.
Viper, you need to hit him hard and hit him quick. Are we in our mechs? Did we get to our mechs?
Yeah, you guys are all inside your mechs. Kraken is the only one that's dropped out of the mech bay so far.
So, like, before we drop Widower, or not Widower, Viper, sorry. My kind of octopus-esque arm tendrils of light kind of are hitting your shields, and you see like they kind of ripple. And I am giving you a reinforcement die, so you get a D6 that you can subtract from your roll, or a test to attack roll or avoid damage. And I'm going to drop and try and shoot one of these things.
Okay, go for it.
All right. Man, I am not good at shooting. 15 over 10. Failure.
You take a shot, and were you firing at the main mech?
Yeah, the one that's kind of now confronting us.
Yeah, it sort of immediately diverts its path and just avoids your shot as you kind of try to trace its movement. It's moving incredibly fast. Viper.
So Viper is going to drop. She managed to pick up one of those thrown laser axes. So she's going to, when she drops down to the hangar, throw one of those at the thing, and then activate the cloaking field.
Okay, great.
Okay, so that is a success on the to hit.
Okay, and you're throwing at the main mech?
Yes, and I'm going to actually do this recklessly, so I'm going to take decrease 2 armor points to roll an additional damage.
Cool.
Okay. And you said I could use a d6. Oh, that's to avoid damage. Okay, so that will be 5 points.
5 points of damage. Okay, let me roll its shield. You throw this axe, and it mostly bounces off of this shield that comes up, but you see it spin off and hack a piece off of one of the tentacles, doing a little bit of damage. It just like, and then it and comes back to your hand.
Okay, and then I'll activate the cloak. The shimmer comes on, and Viper disappears.
All right, reactor roll.
I rolled a 2.
Perfect. Yeah, and everyone, Kraken is close enough to the Condor that if you drop out and don't move away from the Condor, you're basically, I'm assuming you're behind the barricade that Kraken has set up. So you'll have advantage on tests to avoid damage.
Okay, so I rolled a 2, so that means I've downgraded my reactor die, right?
Yeah, yep. You feel the heat of your reactor as it struggles to keep up with your actions. All right. So the alien mecha immediately closes the distance and gets up into close range with you, Kraken. Just completely zeroed in on you. And so I'm going to need a mobility test from you, please.
Okay. So I have disadvantage on mobility tests because of my barricade mode, but I take half damage. Okay, succeed in the first.
Okay.
You say 2?
Just 1.
Okay. Yep, so I succeeded.
Okay, great. So it comes up and it's holding itself up off the floor with these like spider-like limbs, and it sort of brings out this beam sword and brings it down, and you manage to bring up your shield and sort of stop it. You feel the energy of it coursing through your mech. You feel like the cockpit around you just rattle from this power as this mech just bears down on you with this immense strength. The rest of you, I'm going to need mobility checks except for who hasn't dropped out yet. Mammoth has not dropped out yet. So Viper and Widower, give me a mobility test with advantage since you're behind the barricade.
I'm also hidden. Does that?
Oh, so literally just Widower then. I was like, okay, everybody. Oh no, wait, not Philip. Okay, no wait, not Lloyd. Okay, not Karen either. So just Baron. Okay, yeah, give me a mobility test.
I failed with a 16 and 18 over 12. Yeah.
Good lord.
I'm not playing D&D tonight.
Yeah, no, you're not. Okay, let me roll my damage here. 6 damage. One of these jumping, sort of leaping mechs. It fires its thrusters and lands sort of flanking the barrier, and this turret atop its head swivels and just sprays these beams right at you, Widower, and you feel like the molten metal of your mech as these beams slam into the side of it. Did I tell you how much damage? Okay. It's like, I described that, but did I tell you what it did? All right. The rest of the jump pods, they're sort of leaping around, and they're focusing on all of these mechs. The mechs with the piston arms like comes forward, sort of moving almost like a gorilla, and it sort of rears up, and it comes forward with one of these piston arms, and it slams one of the jump pods into the deck of the hangar, and it just like splatters there like a bug, and then it just like sort of goes at it with its piston fist, just making sure that it's dead. Another one with a thunder cannon on its shoulder sort of swivels and fires off, missing one of the jump pods as it leaps over it and slamming into the side of the hangar. All of the techs and engineers are running all over the place, some of them firing sort of futilely with these rifles and shotguns, getting stepped on by the jump pods. A few of the jump pods specifically target the people and just spray these beams across these lines of people that are trying to run away, splattering them across the deck of the hangar. So, Mammoth, you are up now.
The reason Mammoth was taking so long to jump out of the pod is because she had to get the playlist just right for this battle. And will, after surveying all of this chaos, finally press play, which is going to be used as an inspiring speech for Kraken Omega, who is just obliterating people tonight. So it's his favorite jam right at the beginning. This is for you, Kraken! And then I'll come out and I want to... How close am I to the tentacled mech once I land?
Once you land, you are near.
Near. Does the chest beam go to near people, or is that just...
I believe it does. Let me check really quick.
Close, it says.
It's close, yeah. So
it says close.
You can move and then use it if you want to.
Actually, I will just use my charging strike right after I land to go and try and pummel this alien mech with my human mech arm. 2, which is a crit for me.
Oh, yeah, because you're a brawler. Yep.
Yeah, nice. Okay. So with the music blaring in my ears, I'll do 8 damage as I run up and just pound the alien mech.
You're a brawler. You're a shot caller. Nice. Yeah, you come up and you're basically just punching him.
Yeah, like a running leap punch.
Yeah.
You know, towards him.
Just you sort of catch this mech in its head, for lack of a better word, and it kind of stumbles and goes to the deck of the ship and then rights itself. And the Cyclopean cluster splits, and then there's one cluster sort of watching you, Mammoth, and the other is still zeroed in on Kraken, sort of tracking both of your movements with these 2 different eye clusters.
I'll wave at it with my tentacled arm.
All right. We are back up at the top of the initiative, I believe. Yep, with Widower, Viper, and Kraken.
I'll go. I'm going to use my chassis ability for the Titan. I'm going to try and protect Mammoth. So I roll my use. Success, that's a 5. So you can reduce incoming damage by 1d4 before the start of my next turn. your next turn. And then I'm going to shoot the big guy. It's a 4, so that's a hit. And it's 5 damage.
5 damage. Let me reduce. Okay. Again, those shields flicker, sort of negating some of the damage. Widower or Viper?
Well, I'll go if you don't mind. Viper's going to move so that she's close to that tentacled mech. Not that anybody can see that, but as she approaches, all of a sudden there she is, axe in hand, and she's going to attack this thing. I believe I have advantage on it because I was hidden.
Yes.
I have a question about the reinforced die.
Yeah.
So let's say she were to roll like a 4 or something lower than a d6 and roll a 6 on the die, and that would drop her lower than 1. Is that a critical, or does it have to be like specifically?
I think that would be considered a critical, yeah.
Okay, well, keep that in mind.
Let's make that call here. Game
well, I
design
rolled a
live.
6, so I think I might save it though to avoid damage because I'm going to be seeing a scene right there.
That is true.
I will hit, so I do additional die. I'm also going to do more, take 2 more armor parts out to do the third die.
Cool.
So. And we rolled really bad.
Oh,
1, 2, and 2. So that's 5 damage.
Oh. And it negates almost all of that. Again, the energy shields flicker.
And I am there at its feet, and that's all I am doing.
Okay. Widower. Oh, you're muted, Baron.
So I think what I'm going to do is Kraken, Viper's got her open. Take a shot. I'm gonna give you 1 action.
I miss, unfortunately. I'm firing this gigantic gun too often, too fast, and it's like overheating.
It does the Halo weapon thing where like things pop open on the side to vent this excess energy.
Your mech hand is burnt.
Yeah, the mech goes, ow.
I'm gonna fire around cover this guy. Oh man, 18. I can't roll good like this during any other kind of game.
Guaranteed, next time you play 5th edition, you're gonna be rolling like 1, 2.
All like, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, 4.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you pop out, take a few shots. The shields sort of flicker and negate all of the damage. All right. So let's see. I need mobility tests from Viper, and I need one from Viper, Kraken, and Mammoth.
Yeah, if you're close to me, you have advantage because of the cover.
Yep.
It's truly unbelievable. I rolled a crit and a 1, but I have disadvantage, so I'll actually get hit.
Oh man.
So rolling a 20 is really bad, right?
Really bad. Yep.
So if I rolled that d6 to drop it down, I'm still going to get hit because I can't go below my mobility.
But she won't be taking double damage. Yeah.
Okay, so I rolled a 6, so I'm down to 14,
Down to
but
14.
it's still higher than my mobility.
Okay. So anyone who failed, 8 damage.
Ooh.
So be glad that you did not get critted there, Karen, because that would be 16.
Yeah, and I'm gonna my armor takes the last of my armor will negate one of those points.
So this mech, these tentacles, each of them finds a target and shoots this beam out of the tip of the tentacle, sort of tracing these lines across your mechs with this molten energy. Okay, and then Let's see. And then I will need mobility tests from everyone from the jump pod fire.
Yeah, succeeded this time.
Same.
I failed again.
Okay, anyone who failed, 4 damage as the jump pods circle around you and begin firing with these turrets. The
Using the D4 from Crack and Omega.
cool.
Reduce the damage by 4. Fantastic.
Nice. The Terran mechs are putting up as good a fight as they can, caught unawares. Their mechs are big, bulky, sluggish. They're having a hard time keeping track of these mechs, tracking them across the hangar. One of the jump mechs gets on top of one of these big labor mechs. It starts spinning around looking for it, and the jump pod just leans down and just fires its beam turret right through the top of this mech. And you see the beams coming out the bottom of this thing. The mech sort of jostles and then falls on the ground, blows up. There are 2 more labor mechs that come charging into the hangar, each of them wielding a melee weapon, and they immediately lock into combat with the jump pods, fighting as best they can. All right. It is Mammoth's turn.
I think I am still close to the tentacled guy.
You are, yes.
Yeah, so I'm going to fire my chest beam right at him.
Ooh.
Which is the arm. So
the arm cannon, yeah.
As I was waving, I'm gonna form the tentacles into the cannon. Oof. And I do not have very good control over this thing yet. And it misses.
Yeah, you sort of bring it down and aim at this mech, and it knocks your arm aside with one of its tentacles right as it goes off. And you cut a big swath right across the ceiling of the hangar. You see gangways and stuff that are sort of suspended from the ceiling go clattering down the floor, sparks flying everywhere, molten metal dripping from the big hole that you just created in the top of the hangar.
Sorry.
How was your reactor die roll?
5.
Okay, cool. Your mech is getting hot. It's sort of straining under the power output of this arm, but it's maintaining. It's doing a good job. So that was one action, Mammoth. Anything else on your turn?
I am going to go and get behind Crack and Omega.
Okay, yeah. You're like,
Take cover after
Dad,
that.
help!
Like, whoops!
Yeah. Okay. And I actually forgot, this guy's a boss, so he gets to go again. He gets a turn before and after. So I'll need mobility checks again from everybody. Make sure you get yourself advantage if you're close to Kraken, which I think everyone still is.
10 over 12.
Success.
Am I close to Kraken? Because I would have.
Technically, yes, you still are close to Kraken.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I successfully succeeded that time.
Okay. Nobody failed? Good. So these tentacles, again, writhing around, fire these beams. All of you managed to avoid the damage, though, having seen it before and knowing to dodge out of the way. Back up at the top of the initiative, we have Widower, Viper, and Kraken.
I rolled my stuff already. I attacked twice. I succeeded on my reactor die, and I hit twice.
Damn, give me the damage.
7 and 3, so 10 total.
10 total. Okay. Let me do math really quick. This mech is not, it's not looking good. Go ahead and describe your attacks. It's not down, but you do pretty significant damage to it.
Yeah, so I think like this beam rifle, it's the kind of thing that you like leave on, and it gets stronger and stronger as you like leave it on, and so he's like getting more used to it, and so this time he like starts at a central point and like starts to like, and he's like trying to hold it in place with the two big arms, like puts the two smaller arms on the gun to like hold it in place, and is able to like focus it more directly, and do like some more significant damage and like cut right through part of it.
Yeah, you initially the beam hits its shields and you're just kind of plowing into the shield, and then you hold it long enough, the shield actually, you see it break. It looks like translucent, like holographic glass. It just, and the beam cuts right through the actual hull of this thing. It staggers back, and you see that like luminescent blue liquid kind of pouring out from it, and then cauterizing as the molten beam cuts through. All right, Widower or Viper?
So the thing is still standing there, like it's still.
Yeah, it's definitely
Okay.
It's taken pretty severe damage.
Okay, so I'm going to try to slice through another one of those tentacles or whatever is actually like close to where Viper is. And we did not succeed on that one.
Okay.
She can't get a purchase. If I'm close to Crack, am I also close to Widower?
Yes.
Okay, because then I would like to do a use action to activate my cloaking shield. You can see that Viper's mech is like almost broken apart. It's completely destroyed from those two hits. So she's going to use her cloaking device, and if I could use your reactor die, that would be lovely.
I'll allow it. 5.
Perfect.
Awesome. I forgot the auxiliary could do that. That's a cool thing.
So Viper, the last you see of her as she wildly swings and misses, and then she is no longer there.
Great. Widower.
There's like a beam of light that ejects from one of the tentacles of my arm and hits the reactor of Viper, and it kind of supercharges it for a minute, and it kind of disappears a moment later. And it just inside the chassis, it's yes, I don't get to use that very often. And I am going to jump in front of Kraken after I reinforce Mammoth. So Mammoth, you get a D6. And I'm going to try and just like welding beam this thing.
Cool. Yeah. Going old school.
I can't shoot for shit, so what does it matter? This will be thematic and cool. I actually okay. I got a 3, so
That's awesome. Give me some damage.
welding beams were a D6 or a D8. I think
They were I think it's just your damage die.
Yeah, it is. I've played this game.
Well, the funny thing is when you said that, I was like, and like started looking. So clearly, I played this.
You
game
you
too.
wrote this game.
Yeah,
so.
I did write it, but
I got a 3. So
3 damage.
Yep.
Okay. It only negates it by 1.
So I kind of like parkour over Kraken's brace and just kind of grab this thing with my arm, and I'm trying to just like burn a hole into it.
So you actually do enough damage to take it down. So go ahead and describe what that looks
Fuck
like.
yes. So there's all this damage happening to this thing. It's kind of leaking fluid, and from this cauterized wound, I actually stick like the end of my welding beam like into this wound and beam up so that it's like up through the clavicle. You see like this really red spot, maybe even starts bubbling, and then like bust through as this thing has just a large weld hole in it now.
It topples to the deck and begins writhing, and the tentacles just whipping this way and that, firing off occasional beams. This horrible sound fills your comms, this something between a scream and, like I said, feedback of guitar just flickering on all of your HUDs. You see that blue face once again, and it's screaming, and its mouth is agape in this guitar feedback of a scream, and then it's silence, and the thing lays still on the deck, and that luminescent blue fluid spurting out of it. The jump pods immediately fall to the deck, disabled. The mech with the piston fists begins methodically going to each one and piston fisting each of them. Over the comms, you hear a familiar voice. Teddy, you okay? It's Thea.
Yeah, for better or worse.
That arm is interesting. I think we need to have a conversation.
Yeah, you're probably right.
And that is where we will leave our session for tonight.
Right.
So thank you for watching, everyone. And thank you guys for playing. That was so much fun. We just played a game of Mecha Hack where most of the time they were not in mechs, so it can be done. Let it be known. If you're interested in the Mecha Hack, this game that we're playing, there are links down in the description where you can see more about it. Oh, look at it. Baron's got I got a copy too. Woo! Okay, we got. Oh my God! All right, Lloyd, where's yours? Oh, that's amazing. There's like multiple people.
Find it. I do have one. I couldn't find it for the game.
Oh man.
Disappointed.
Yeah, if you're interested in this game, there are PDFs and hard copies available both on AbsoluteTabletop.com and Drive-Thru RPG, so definitely go check it out if you are interested. I'm currently working on some more stuff for this game that's going to be coming out here in the next few months, and I'm really excited about that. So, yeah, so this was Mecha Hack. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I'm going to let these guys do their sign-offs, and then we're going to go ahead and call it. So we're going to go from left to right, starting with the intrepid commander, Galvin Widower, played by Baron.
Another week of figuring out my weaknesses as a captain. Yeah, I run the YouTube channel RWD Gaming. I play D&D and stuff over there. Go look at it. It's cool sometimes. I walk away stressed yet again. Thank you, Matt. This has been quite excellent.
Awesome. Thanks for playing, man. Next up, Viper Midnight, played by Karen.
Helps if you hit the right button. I had a blast tonight. I down to 2 points. That's it. I was pretty much going to be out for the count. Had a so Viper's just lying there. She hasn't undone her cloak. She's just like, please don't hit me. Karen, I have a channel called Myth and Gears where we play mostly Genesis, but we're starting to play some 5e. We've got a Harbinger game out there, so check that out now because Harbinger is awesome as well. I don't really have much more to say. Well, pass it on. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for playing. All right, Kraken Omega, played by Lloyd.
Hello, I'm Lloyd. I have a channel called YarlDM where you can watch me play games and run games. This is really fun. I like that it was sort of less mercenary today, but also way more mercenary, which is nice. There was like a cause involved, and that was pretty cool. We left some people to die in space, and that was cool. So yeah, it was great. I love it.
Yeah, I sort of love that you guys left that freighter to die because it meant that we got more stuff in at Slipstar, but also like tough decision. That was awesome. Good job. Making the tough calls. All right.
Fuck the Dominion.
Yeah, man. I was trying to make you guys feel for the Neos, but honestly, they're just the worst. So,
Hey,
right.
do you want to feel sympathy for the Nazis? No.
The Neos are standing around going, "Are we the baddies?" All right, Crimson Mammoth, played by Philip.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I love this game. I love playing with you guys. It's super fun. Thanks.
Thank you, Philip. All right, thank you everyone for watching. We're going to be playing again our third and final session in 2 weeks here. I haven't figured out what it's called yet, but it's going to be awesome. And it's going to be a lot of fun, so definitely tune in. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Happy gaming all. And I can't remember what I was supposed to say. Big robots are awesome or something like that. I can't remember. Bye.